We are here because so many people are coming back from events or going to events, and I'll introduce myself in a minute, but um, a lot of people are starting to people en masse again. And it may have been a little while since you've done that. And sometimes for some of us, weren't necessarily fans of that, even when we were peopling en masse. And so I wanted to go over a plan to support you with as you are making not just professional friends, but um, just generally speaking. And so we're here today to talk about making friends professionally. And when I say friends, I don't want you to think about people that you're going to be, and you might, but I don't want you to think about people that you're calling or texting, to check in on them, seeing if they want to come to the movies. I'm not talking about that. So in the professional world, these friends might be, they might be different roles. They might be clients. They might be people who can open the door at an important company. They might be a great vendor that you had to almost go on a hunt to find. These friends could be lots of different roles, but it really refers to finding people who can support you in advancing your career or business. And so we're talking about that because as outside is opening back up again, a lot of people are going to meetings, they're going to conferences. In healthcare, HIMSS just happened. In the consumer world, Shop Talk is happening in a couple days. A lot of people are going out, and we're peopling in mass. And just for some of us who, it's been a while, I just wanted to go over our good friend scale and talk about how that can help us support you. So over the past few weeks, I've been speaking about things that can support you with partnering or being prepared to partner and using a framework called scale to do that. And just to go over again, I'm going to talk about the framework, and then I want to continue on because I don't want to talk about it too much. I've already talked about it for the past couple weeks, but just to recap, scale is spelled SCALE. And so S stands for scan, and that's when you're going to scan your capacity to receive, um, your personal capacity to receive, your team capacity to receive, and your tech capacity to receive. And there's a few other areas that you're scanning, but we'll just keep it to those just for this. C, create boundaries. That's where you create boundaries around what would be like a firm yes, what would be a confident no or an easy yes. C, create boundaries. A, articulate your needs. Articulate your unique value, and A is for alignment. So as you are making professional friends, as you're going out there and trying not to waste your time and your emotional energy too, it's really good to have a good plan. And so that's what this is going to be about. We're going to use the framework I've been talking about called scale. Over the past couple weeks, I've been going over prepare to partner concept, so that as we're making professional friends, or as we're partnering with other people who hold opportunities for us, we will go in there prepared and equipped, and scale will absolutely help us. So I went over the SCA. L is after you do that, you'll start to notice gaps in your capacity of where you are. And then as you start to look at the opportunities that you might start to notice there's things that you need in order to better equip yourself to receive those opportunities. Or, these are the things that I want out of a collaboration. And after you articulated your needs, you might start to see, what, these are some things that I kind of need to get there. But L stands for leverage your resources. And these might be your current resources, or after going through the first few letters, you might say, what, there's some gaps. I need to get some new resources. So that's L. And then E is evaluate. Evaluate your system of support, evaluate the collaborations, and that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I'm streaming to a couple different places, so it might take a while for me to see it, slash I might not see it at all until I've finished, which happened a few times before. So if you're joining, hello. And if you have any questions, please leave those in the comments. And if you're on the replay, I love to know as well. And I think that's it. Also, where are you from? I love knowing. I'm just outside of Washington, D.C. We call this area the DMV. So I'd love to also know where you're from as well. But in any case, so long story short, as we're going back to returning to events, and we want to improve our connection skills. We want to meet more of the right people, and we don't want to waste our time. And I'm Amelia. I am a longtime collaboration consultant and relationship facilitator. Teams and professionals hire me to work with them on figuring out the words they're saying are they saying the right words to the right people? Essentially, if you were to boil down all the various projects I've done over my career, I've been doing this actually in some form or another for my entire career, almost 20 years in healthcare, 6 years in business. It really essentially goes down to that. It's like, are you telling the right story, the right interesting story to the right set of people on a regular basis? And there's a framework that I use to do that. I went over it briefly, but there's a lot to it. But just for the sake of this, we're going to go into planning. So when you are wanting to make the most of your time and go to events, it's really great to have a collaboration roadmap and playbook. So when you are sketching out, like, what are you looking for in a professional friend? And I mentioned these friends might be a client, it might be a champion at a big account that can open the door and let you walk right in. It could be a great vendor. Those are so hard to find, especially people who are proactive. These are what your friends could be. And I found that when you start to sketch out like who those people are, who are those prospects, who are those champions, who are those um, there's a few other useful people in our professional lives that we want to make friends with. You start to see them, and it's no woo thing at all. It's similar to when you buy a car, and you buy the car, and all of a sudden you have this car, and all of a sudden overnight that same car is like all over the place. But when you sketch out a blueprint to your ideal prospect or customer or ideal champion inside of a custom company, or a great vendor, when we start to make a blueprint of who exactly this is, what they need to do, um, it's just amazing how they start to become super easy to find and see. And that's what we've all discovered, talking about me and the clients that I support. But so how do we find these people? Warm intros. That's pretty much it. When it comes to making new professional friends, um, it goes back to almost people 101 in a way. Same way that we've tended to meet the friends that we have met, it kind of happens to be in the same circle of people. An example of this is one of my favorite collaborations so far is my hubby. That's how I met him. A good friend introduced me to him. And warm intros could be people that are obviously people like in your circle. That could be like other clients. If you're looking for if you're looking for an introduction at a specific company, you could, put it out to your network that says, hey, thank you for being in touch. It's been a while since we've been in touch. We need to catch up. I'm just curious, do you know of anyone at company XYZ? Or it's been a while since we've talked, address that. And there's wording and scripting that I have put together, and I'll give you that right here as well. Is talk about the problem, talk about the solution, and talk about the happy ending. And that's not something I birthed up in my head. That's from building the story brand framework. But I would use that for lots of things, including when your outreach messages for various things. But as you're reaching out to people, it might sound like that. Or if you're looking for a vendor, same thing. It's been a while since we've talked. We need to, get together and have a conversation. I'm just curious, do you know of anybody who uses somebody to do XYZ? And and then just use that just to start your work. I don't necessarily recommend, especially when it comes to getting support for your like. Yeah, I really don't recommend that being the end all and be all. Like, just because so and so recommended this person is great for website design, there's so many different variables of why that person was successful with so and so. And that might be something for another conversation. If you have any questions about hiring a web designer, actually, just because I use that example, reach out to me. I actually have a video on that. Don't want to get sidetracked, but so warm intros. So we want warm intros. That's what we want to go for. But sometimes we can appear when we go to events, even, and we want to make professional friends. We can seem like we don't want to be random. That's it. We don't want to be random. We don't want to seem like the aimless wanderer. And the way we do that is to get attentional before we even get to the event. Like, who else is going to be there? There's a phrase that I love. Who all going to be there? Right? You want to think about the same thing in a professional setting. And now it's so easy, in 2022, even in 2016, it's starting to get easier. But you can easily see event lists, especially if you sign up on LinkedIn. The people who sign up on LinkedIn or who indicate that they're going to go to a particular event on LinkedIn, there's after you sign up, there's a networking. situation that you can see by name who's interested. And there's a way to do that too, to use that. I just got a cold email that says, "Hey, I saw that you're going to go to blah blah blah." And I was like, they didn't use any context, but not that that's what you do, but I'm just giving you an example of what not to do. Um, so, the event list also with the speakers. The speakers are clearly out there. The speakers might be a great future client. They might be a great referral partner. They might be, depending on the expertise, they may be somebody who would know of a great vendor, solution for you and that you might want to keep in touch with. Because what we don't want to happen in life is for you to be in need of a great vendor, or your champion leaves the company and there's nobody, who can advocate you on behalf of the company anymore, or you lose your vendor or your star contract and there's nobody in the pipeline, and your professional friend pipeline is low, or you don't know where your next person is going to come from, and that does not have to be you. And so that's why we're talking about this. So the second thing is, so the first thing is the warm introduction. The second thing when making new professional friends we want to keep in mind is being the most interesting person in the room. And this might seem like a big, huge, nebulous thing. Like, how do I be the most interesting person? Thankfully, all humans are human. And the easy way to, and we may have forgotten how to people amass, and so we might have nervousness about that. But people are people, and people all love talking about themselves, the same thing. So don't you worry. All you really have to do, and there's like a study that proved this. Some guy went on a plane and sat down, and it was like just some research study. And the instructions for the study was to not talk, just ask questions. And long story short, he did that, and he sat next to this guy, just asked him questions the entire time. And then they were able to tag the guy, or find the guy that he was next to on the trip, and said, "What do you think about the person that sat next to you?" Like, "Oh, he was absolutely fascinating. I never met anyone like him. I want to keep in touch with him." He was, and like really all he did was ask. So that's it. Be the most interesting person in the room. You may have say like, "Amelia, how do I do this?" Ask questions about the other person. Get curious, and that's pretty much that. If you have questions about that, like what do I start with? Start with mutual connection points too. You can do that easily by, especially if there's like an event list, or um, especially if you just sink into your human part of your brain, um, you can start to get curious. And the more that you also do the scale framework again and again, you'll start to be able to more easily scan questions to ask other people about, because this scale framework is inherently designed to get you to be a little bit more curious about yourself. And as you start to do that, it kind of translates very easy for your next person. So teams that I take through creating their collaboration playbook and roadmap, they don't need to bring me in every time they need to identify a new champion inside a company, or every time they need a new vendor, or every time they need a new client, or need to resurrect a ghosted account. They're able to be self-sufficient, which is a lovely. So the first, warm intro. Second was be the most interesting person. Three, be a human. Sometimes, because of how work has been set up for the past couple years, we may have forgotten how to nurture the relationships that we have. Slash, also pay attention to how you nurture relationships in your personal life. Do you typically make friends easily? Do you typically keep in touch with other humans? Is that what you typically do? If so, if you don't, those peopling skills, those nurturing skills will be reflected in your professional friend making life as well. It won't be a new, it will, that's just how it is. Unless you decide to take this moment to evaluate this area of an opportunity for growth and then change, unless you make that personal decision. That will kind of be how you tend to operate in the world. So, make a note of, as you talk about the person, or not talk about, as you talk to the person, you find out things that are interesting. They might say, "Oh yeah, well, I have a project coming up that I'm super excited about," or "I have this thing coming up," or "We're about to start working on this." Note that down. Note that down in your calendar. And you might have to kind of remember it a little bit as you're talking to them, but as soon as you can, just write that down and then put it in your calendar, like 2 weeks from now or a week from now, follow up with so and so about this specific thing. And there's lots of software situations that can support you with that. I'm a fan of using like a pen and paper, or using Excel. until Excel and the pen and paper no longer serves you, because the whole I have lots of thoughts about using software and tools without a strategy. That's a whole nother topic I might need to come back and talk about, because I personally have wasted tons of money. I've seen it happen with other people, and it's a common pattern that I've noticed. Like when you decide to hire a tool to be your friend without going through scale and creating boundaries and creating almost a list of understanding of what you need that tool to do, um, you can feel like really accomplished just by purchasing something. And then sometimes you may not notice that it's not actually working or helping you. If you have questions about that, or if that didn't make sense, send me a message, because apparently I need to do one of these about tech and software. Any case, because yeah, tech and software can absolutely be a great professional friend if you go through the scale framework. But in any case, just to recap, and I want to keep this short, I don't want to keep this too long. It's already 15 minutes. We want to achieve excellence in our life, business, and career. That's why we're all here. And we realize in order to do that, we need to meet more of the right people, right? To advance in our, business or career, we technically need to have people of some sort, whether it's clients, whether it's somebody inside of a company, whether it's a vendor. We need to have people meet new people. And when we do that, we will find that we're less scared to drop a horrible client. We'll be less scared of, losing a champion. If there's somebody inside of an organization that's been our champion, that has been opening doors, and they move someplace else, we're not going to be heartbroken. Well, we will be, but it will be momentary. We're like, what, actually, I have my people pipeline going. I can go back and take a look at who else is at the company that we've been engaging with, or I can go back to LinkedIn and look through people and see who might be our next professional friend. Or if you lose a great vendor or teammate who was doing a lot of things, yes, that's never expected. And we can absolutely have a pool of places where you'll pull in your next teammate and your next vendor who's reputable and proactive. That can absolutely be your story, with a collaboration roadmap and a collaboration playbook that tells you, once you have an idea where you're going, where you are and where you're going in your playbook, your roadmap will, I'm sorry, that's the reverse. Your roadmap tells you where you are and where you're going. Your playbook tells you the plays of when you're actually in that situation. And scale is a framework that will support you in developing that. And of course, that's something that I work with my clients on. And if you have questions about what that might look like, feel free to reach out. But I also want to give you the tools to start to create that for yourself. So as we simplify how we're showing up, our visibility, our marketing, our sales, and we want to build our visibility by way of a simplified approach. Making professional friends will be key to that. And so this series really is all about having more great first dates in business. We talked about being prepared to partner. For that, it was another related topic about partnering. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me directly. I have a podcast as well called Confident Collaborations Podcast. I really do invite you to take a look at that on wherever you listen to podcasts. Enter in Confident Collaborations and my name. Reach out to me directly if you want a link to that. And there's an episode called The Chief Opportunity Finder Role. I would love you to listen to that, because even if you're trying to delegate and outsource sales, listening to that will be super helpful as you start to scan the world for your helpers and make new professional friends. So thank you so much for joining and staying with me. I can't see comments, but you can still leave them if you're on the replay. Let me know. It gives me a good idea of who finds this valuable. And if you want to continue the conversation, please do. I look forward to it. You take care.